I bought this 1969 Cadillac DeVille convertible for my dad as a thank you for everything he does for me.
Not me.
Only slight issue. It doesn't run. And before we step any further into this project, we gotta make sure it runs.
Nothing.
And by the end of this video, it'll either be running or I'll be running it down to the junkyard. So, big day today because today Dad and I are gonna start working on the Cadillac. The Cadillac project begins. It'll run. How hard could it be? Famous last words. Now let's get to work and see what's what. There's no battery in the car right now, so we're taking a look at all the wiring going from where the battery should be down to the starter to make sure everything looks in decent shape before we put one in there. Then we jack it up and make quite an interesting discovery.
Well, I see the flywheel here.
The starter goes here. It needs a fucking starter.
Reason number one, it doesn't start. There's no starter in it. Maybe this will be easy, and maybe not.
Go get a bar though.
Like a thing so we can turn the
Yeah.
flywheel?
We needed to at least make sure the motor wasn't seized and would spin freely.
It's moving.
So using a big flat head on the teeth of the flywheel, we got the crank to spin,
I think it's moving, right?
Yeah, it's moving.
So it's not seized.
which is a great sign.
Why'd they take the freaking starter out of it?
But then we found some other not so favorable things about this Cadillac.
Now you gotta try to find the starter now. This
shit,
thing's
that
got
can't
discs on the front.
Not factory.
Huh?
That can't be factory.
I think it is. That fucking, look at that, it's not even...
Oh, well, there were pads in the glove box.
Disc brakes were on the front, but with no calipers, and no hose going to where the calipers should be. And then we found some random parts and missing lines in the engine bay.
That's weird.
A vacuum hose to something. The wipers electric or are they vacuum?
I'm gonna guess vacuum?
That's minor. That's the least of the worries.
This Caddy was turning out to need a lot more than I originally thought. I'm really lucky to have the dad that I do who likes projects like these. Or at least says he does. There's quite the mountain of things we have to tackle on this car. But a few days later, some important parts showed up, so we can keep moving forward.
Holy crap.
The giant starter for the humongous 472 Cadillac V8.
Wow. That is massive. Oh, those the shims? Are these shims then?
Take that off and read it. There's two bolts, one looks longer than the other.
Oh, this is step-by-step instructions. This thing is giant.
So Dad and I bolted up the starter and hooked up, well, tried to hook up the wires. Some were missing, and it's hard to find a wiring diagram for this 55-year-old Cadillac.
So I'd say this is going to be the ground right here. We got to figure.
Not gonna reach that.
We got to read where it goes, because that will go right there with those.
But we finally think we figured it out. With the starter connected and the battery hooked up, it was time to see if there were any signs of life in the old girl.
I got a light on. Yeah. Yeah.
And for the first time since getting it home, the Caddy showed us some hint of life. Now we just need to hear it run. If it will.
Try it. Here it goes. Here it goes.
But nothing.
The light went out, so it must have shorted.
I wiggled the cables and tried again.
Almost had something.
The battery kept shorting. I'd turn the key, it would click, I'd wiggle the cables again, and we'd repeat the cycle. But then, we got something.
This should at least hold them on for the time being. A little bit tighter. See if it does anything now.
After using some vice grips to get a backyard version of a better connection, it was time to see if the Caddy would spin over under its own power. It's spinning.
And it did.
Yeah.
What do I do now? What do I do now?
But the old battery just didn't have enough juice.
I think it's out of voltage now.
So we hooked up the charger to it and gave it another go. But still just didn't have enough power. So we let it sit on the charger for a while and gave it another shot.
All right, it's charged. Let's try it. Oh, did you hear that?
It did something. Neighbor Steve heard the Caddy's attempt at rising from the dead and came over to join in on the fun.
Okay.
Haha.
Now, try turning it over.
Try it. It was clear that the old battery I found just wasn't cutting it. So I found another.
This one came from January of last year. Practically brand new.
Practically brand new for Jake's junkyard.
We installed the new, old battery that I found in the garage, hooked up the cables, and gave it another whirl.
Yeah. Ready?
There's no oil in it.
Yep.
Did you video that?
Hell yeah. Her first signs of life.
This is a big moment. The motor's spinning on its own. But is it gonna fire?
Easy, Steve. It's not like it's going to start.
Shut up. You don't know that. If we can put oil in this thing right now and get it to...
I think it's got any freezer.
Grab a quart of oil and throw it
Do you
through.
have any?
I bought all the oil.
We topped it off with oil.
Pull the dipstick, see if you're showing any. Then look underneath, there's nothing pouring out, right? You got oil on the stick, right?
Yeah.
How much? Put a little more in, Steve?
Yeah.
I don't think it's got any in
You got any water? Just put water in because now it's not going to freeze.
it. Yeah.
Filled the radiator with water and tried again.
Ready?
But it didn't want to fire off. It just kept cranking and cranking.
Okay, hold it.
Look!
I got no gas pedal.
Huh?
I got no gas pedal.
Yeah, you do.
No, I don't.
You're moving here.
It is moving there?
Yeah.
It's hard as a rock. It's not, I don't feel like I'm moving at all.
Probably rusty as shit, but everything's moving.
All right.
Okay, so pull you got regular screwdriver?
Yep.
Steve pulled the distributor cap off to look at the points, to check for signs as to why the Caddy just wasn't firing off.
Looks brand new, doesn't it?
Yeah. Somebody put a set of points in it too.
We're gonna do see if it's getting spark.
Yeah.
Jake, he's gonna turn it over. You hold. We used to do that in small engines. Have
know,
the kid hold it.
someone's-
Fucking savage.
Okay.
Turn it
Crank
over.
it.
How many times have you zapped yourself?
Okay.
Oh! No spark.
I don't hear no spark.
No sparker.
There wasn't any spark. Now to find out why. Steve checked a few more things, and then we gave it another go.
Go ahead. Hold it.
No. Didn't look
Still
like
don't see no spark.
Still
Go
nothing.
ahead. Okay, hold it.
nothing.
No, I got no spark.
Still no spark. So we're gonna see if there's power going to the coil with a test light.
I mean, it is an old Caddy. It's an old Chevy motor. They're pretty well. How many miles are it, Jake?
11,000 original.
Yeah.
29,000.
Okay, turn the key on.
Okay, it's on.
And the coil was getting power.
Got juice what coming in?
Key's still on, right?
Yeah.
Crank it. Pulsing. Seeing a thing. Alright, hold on.
So the coil's got power.
And it's pulsing, so it's gotta be seeing the points.
Steve was a massive help to have as we tried to get this thing running. After all, these were the kind of cars he learned how to work on when he started his journey as a mechanic decades ago.
Go ahead.
Yeah,
Okay, hold.
spark.
I see a little bit of spark.
Tiny bit.
And now we have spark. So it's time to see if this engine's actually gonna run.
You gonna shoot it again?
Go ahead and get in it.
Just whatever you go when you get it started, don't go and drive. I don't want you to hit the Corvette.
Try it. Hold it to the
Hold on.
floor.
Hold it to the floor?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is it moving?
Yeah.
At a loss, still nothing.
Hold it.
Hold on. It almost took off with the starter fluid.
I can't believe it because this pedal does not feel like it's moving under.
It's moving. It's
Don't
a
worry, you got
Cadillac.
plenty
It's a
of time.
Cadillac, Jake.
It was time to try once again. I was starting to lose hope. But then,
Don't touch the throttle, just crank it.
it sort of fired.
Flying a piece of rubber. So the belts are gonna go flying off. Piece of rubber just went.
Go ahead.
Don't touch the throttle.
Okay, sorry.
Look at the smoke back there. Why is that
Huh?
smoke? What's that smoke?
Because it's been
Just
sitting for.
all the crap in the exhaust.
Yeah, there's nothing in there for a long time.
Go ahead again. All right, give it some gas.
All right.
All right.
I think if I kept cranking at that time, I could have
We
got it.
need
Just...
I think we need to get a gas key.
We need to make a, so there's no gas in it at all, or no, we don't know what's in it.
Seeing as though the gauge didn't work, we didn't know how much gas was in it. So we went out back and checked.
Not a super strong one.
So there could be fuel in it. Time to see if it's making it all the way to the front at the engine.
This has a little cartridge filter.
Wait, where
so,
is it?
It's right in here.
Yeah.
Now we at least had an idea as to why the motor wasn't firing. So with our newfound knowledge, Dad and I put a brand new battery in the car to spin the motor fast enough to check and see if the fuel pump was actually pumping. We pulled the fuel line off the carb, ran the end coming off the fuel pump to a can of fresh gas, and cranked it to see if the pump was working. And it seemed like it was. So now we can put in new AC Delco plug wires to make sure this Caddy runs and runs strong. And with the new plug wires in and the fuel pump drawing fresh gas, it was time to see if the motor would actually fire off.
Want me to give it some throttle? From the
Yeah,
cap?
Sandy,
All right, ready?
give it the gas.
We have clean fuel, we have spark, and of course we have air, but it just wouldn't fire. We even poured fresh fuel straight down the carb, but it still wouldn't go. We were just about to give up. Until...
Oh, forgot to plug the...
Try it.
All right, ready? Try it again?
Try it.
she wants to run. So Dad put more gas down the carb, and we gave it another shot.
Try it again.
The whole can?
She is one thirsty girl. So we put more fuel in the can below and put more down the carb. And for the first time, we finally heard the Caddy run. Run like a tractor.
I'm not doing that. What'd you say?
Obviously, very hot.
Finally, the Cadillac was running on its own.
Did you do that?
No, I did it one time.
A huge moment.
Maybe the linkage suck.
Yeah.
Steve could hear the Caddy's screams of life like a bat signal and came on over to join in on the fun.
Should I spray it?
Yeah, you can spray it.
With the linkage all lubed up, it was time to see if she'll start again.
Tell me when.
And stay running.
Again?
This felt amazing. What an incredible moment. Steve adjusted the idle screw on the carb so the engine wouldn't rev so high. And then we had to refill the fuel can it was running off of because the thirsty Caddy already sucked it all down. So we filled the can and tried again. And besides the fact it's missing an exhaust, it runs really nice. But it was still only running off a small can of gas, not the car's own fuel system. Now we know that the Caddy runs, we know we're keeping it and moving forward. It's time to get the homemade hitch mount off the back so we can have the room to drop the minorly dented old gas tank and drain it.
Holy shit. That's disgusting fuel.
A dented gas tank isn't the end of the world. It'll still hold fuel, but it looks like junk, and because of where the dent is, there's no way to get it out without spending tons of money on pressurizing it to straighten it. And a new replacement tank costs over $600. So on my second favorite website, Facebook Marketplace, I found someone parting out a 69. And he had a gas tank that wasn't hit by an iceberg. And a drive shaft that didn't look like a Twizzler. A steal at only $100 for both of them. But it was almost 2 hours away in Rhode Island. So I headed down and even brought my trailer with hopes I'd be able to buy the whole car for short money in case we needed other pieces. But unfortunately, the car we arrived to wasn't the one in the ad. It had a little bit more character.
Guys, look at the shape that this one is in. Oh my gosh. I brought the trailer thinking I might make an offer on the whole car, but jeez.
But Dad and I got the parts off easy enough and headed home. I buy the Cadillac parts, Dad buys me an ice cream. I'd say that's a fair trade. And the next day, I got straight to work, scrubbing off the surface rust on the tank and prepping it for paint. And after a few coats of primer and paint, it looked exactly as you'd expect a 55-year-old gas tank painted with Rust-Oleum would look. Dad and my brother temporarily installed the tank.
No leaks down here.
And after reconnecting the fuel lines to draw from the tank,
all right, let me know when.
It was time to see if it would run again. And it did.
Does it sound good? Sounds all right, right?
Step on the gas.
What? It started like...
Why did you do that?
It fires like you turn the key and it... Huh?
But then it died. And wouldn't start again. It was back to just cranking and cranking, unless we poured gas down the carb.
What did I do with that regular screwdriver?
Flathead screwdriver? Is that what a regular screwdriver?
We took the fuel line off the carb and ran the line coming off the fuel pump straight to a can with fresh gas again.
Feed line down to what we did have off.
Yep. So, turn it over. Okay, stop. not pumping up here. We're not getting fuel to it now.
Crap.
The fuel pump was working.
Yeah.
But once again, it only ran off the gas we were pouring straight down the carburetor. Until we fiddled with some lines, blew some air through them, and finally got it to stay running. But only if the line coming off the fuel pump was straight into a can of fresh gas, not to our new 55-year-old tank. I'm gonna call that a win for today because the Caddy runs, it just doesn't run off its own gas tank. It has to run off of the can of gas. Not ideal. So in the next video, we'll be driving this thing. I'm gonna get it to run, to draw fuel off its own gas tank so that it can be mobile and so that we can drive it. I'll figure out everything else later. Next video, I will be driving the Cadillac. Thank you guys for watching. Happy motoring.